For Sony, the a7R5 is all about resolution and intelligence. With a new image processor, new sensor, and a new AI processing unit, has Sony created the best, most affordable, high-resolution pro camera on the market? Details coming up, but first I encourage you to subscribe and choose all notifications so you're kept informed on the latest camera gear, news, and rumors. Sony starts off their presentation today stating that the a7R5 is all about resolution and intelligence, but credit goes to Sony Alpha Rumors for nailing most of the specifications that we have here in this presentation. The a7R5 does have 61 megapixels, but it's a new 61 megapixel sensor, and we also get a new image processor, and along with a new AI processing chip. The a7R5 has got 8 stops, so that's been confirmed with 5-axis IBIS, but rumors of a flippy screen proved to be wrong. Instead, the R5 gets a new 4-axis multi-angle LCD, which we'll show you later on in this video. The new AI chip is dedicated to image processing and autofocus. Sony claims that the R5 is capable of real-time, accurate recognition of the human subject form, recognizing the position of the body, the head, and even the eyes, tracking them real-time continuously. This improves autofocus accuracy where the subject is even small and where autofocus tends to fail. Any sort of autofocus hit rate falls off quickly when the subject is far away, leaving us with only manual focus to get it right. It's a huge improvement over the R4, and it's a huge improvement and innovation over the competition. This even works when the face is not even visible or hidden by something moving in front of the subject, being more sticky without having to fiddle with the settings. Animal accuracy recognition is up 40%, and like humans, that AI processing unit is used to help us detect the animal in focus even when the face is turned away. Accuracy is much improved. AI processing accuracy is not just limited to us mere mortals. But wait, there's more. The new autofocus system can also track cars, planes, trains, and even insects based on head detection. This is an absolute boon for wildlife and fashion photographers. But sadly, at the time of reporting, there's no indication that the Sony a7R5 will do UAP or UFO detection. But seriously, the autofocus improvements that we're seeing in the Sony a7R5, and I don't care if there's a little monkey inside the camera making it all work or if it's got a new AI processing chip, this is huge. This is a huge improvement over Sony, Canon, and others. And while Canon and Sony both have very accurate autofocus system, well, this just takes Sony to a whole new level. They've innovated and they've improved that accuracy. I know from personal experience that when I'm shooting with the Canon EOS R5, which is an incredible camera, that when my subject moves further away, or even in this shooting situation here, if I was to move the camera just another foot further, that eye detection starts to fall off. It has trouble recognizing and detecting, and that's what we see with a lot of cameras. And that appears to be what Sony has mitigated an awful lot. Not eliminated, but they've certainly mitigated a lot with this a7R5. And the new autofocus system alone is definitely worth considering an upgrade. Low light autofocus is down to -4 EV. It has 693 autofocus points. It's got focus bracketing, and we finally have the high-speed continuous shooting rate. It's 10 frames per second with autofocus and auto exposure. The buffer's been expanded to capture 583 compressed RAW, or about 1,000 JPEG images. Improved auto white balance was also promised in the rumors leading up to today's announcement and has been delivered. The new AI chip improves white balance in scenes with shadows that are not easily captured. And this is a big deal. I've said this before, and I know that Canon has pretty good color science. If I'm shooting on a sunny day, very rarely do I have to tweak much, if anything at all, when it comes to color balancing. But when I start to move into low light situations, into a forest, into situations where there's an awful lot of green or brown and a cloudy sky, I find that I have quite a bit of extensive color balancing to do. So to have an improved color balancing or to have improved white balancing in camera, I think that's really huge. Anything that can save the amount of effort we do in post really matters. I can't wait to see some actual test footage to see how the Sony a7R5 performs when it comes to this new AI capability to improving white balance accuracy. The a7R5 can easily fix minor blur at the pixel level, but the real enhancement can be seen in pixel shift technology. Sony explained their pixel shift enhancements, showing how they're able to account for the movement, and I quote, of grass, leaves, and other objects, creating a sharp, detailed image even when pixel peeped. Just a few days ago, when I heard about this new enhanced pixel shift technology, I wasn't too hopeful. I've seen a lot of uses of pixel shift technology where we have the movement of grass, leaves, trees, and other subjects or objects within the frame, and you don't even have to pixel peep. The brain is very good at recognizing blur, and it just doesn't look right. And I just imagine the amount of sheer processing power that would be required to do this, and the intelligence, well, and that's what Sony's saying about this camera. It's taking sheer processing power and artificial intelligence, and it's merging performance and resolution and accuracy, delivering some really incredible results, as you see in this image here. This is a pixel shift image that's been corrected, and an improvement over the A7R4. Now on to video specifications. The Sony A7R5 can deliver 8K at 24 and 25 frames per second. But sadly, once again, the rumors got this correct. There's no support for 30 frames per second. This is my very favorite shooting rate, and it's also a common shooting rate for documentaries or docu-series. But back to 8K, and this is where the rumors got it wrong. In 8K, the R5 delivers full pixel readout. That's the entire sensor delivering 9.6K oversampled 8K. And this is all about detail. Look at the detail here. It's not soft in any way whatsoever. And while you're looking at this on YouTube from a 4K that's been downsampled, still, it's just absolutely incredible. Full frame readout supports RAW and 3 lossless compression modes, similar to that we see on cinema cameras for a much higher price. 4K video is provided in 24, 25, 30, and 50 frames per second. There's no 120 frames per second in 4K. And that video is not using full sensor readout. It's 6.2 oversample 4K. However, the R5 isn't using any binning whatsoever. And those artificial intelligence autofocus capabilities, well, they're working hard in video as well. We get 10-bit, 422, all-I, S-Log3, S-Cinetone, and S-Gamut3. The R5 delivers 14 stops of dynamic range, and 16-bit RAW video is available. Other video capabilities include active mode stabilization using that 8-stop IBIS system and breathing correction. And that rumored flippy screen? Well, have a look at this. Sony has managed to do something that no one else has done before. They've given us that flippy screen and a tilt screen all in one. Let's look at it one more time. They've managed to make us all happy. I'm truly impressed here. This is a new standard for stills hybrid cameras. Shoot portrait, landscape, no problem. Up high or down low. For those who say, I like to be able to shoot looking through the EVF or the LCD in line with the lens, I'm not buying any camera that doesn't have some sort of articulating tilt screen. And others said, it's time to move to a flippy screen. The A7R5 gives us both here. This is absolutely incredible. It's made everybody happy. Sadly though, there is no CF Express Type B. But considering all the enhancements to this camera, we might have to consider getting a pair of those 640 gigabyte cards. And if you think they're too expensive, well, you might want to consider avoiding shooting in 8K video. And while the Sony A7R5 presentation showed off many more stills and video capabilities, which I recommend you watching, I've covered off the key points here. Sony started off their presentation by stating that the A7R5 is all about resolution and intelligence. It's clear that the R5 delivers on its stills and video capabilities with image processing, sharpness, and autofocus capabilities much improved over the A7R4. All these capabilities, the resolution, the artificial intelligence, the processing, the intelligence behind this camera for a price of $38.98, available for pre-order right now. And I've got the links down below. And if you want to support this channel, consider using the links. It doesn't cost you anything, but I get about 2% back. $38.98, essentially the same price as the Canon EOS R5. The R5 sells for $38.99, a camera that was announced and released back in July of 2020, a camera that I'm shooting with today. And I gotta tell you, watching this presentation from Sony, I'm enamored. I would love to have this camera. I see this as an upgrade over the Canon EOS R5. They're very similar cameras. Of course, the Sony A7R5 has a 61 megapixel sensor, giving us more detailed 8K, but we lose that 30 frames per second that I so like. And while 4K video is oversampled up to 60 frames per second versus 30 frames per second on the R5, we do lose 120 frames per second. And while the Sony A7R5 has dual UHS-2 and CF Express Type A card slots, and the R5 has CF Express Type B card slots, it only has one of them, the other being a UHS-2 card slot. So There is a little bit of back and forth between these two cameras, but when you look at the autofocus system within the Sony a7R5, when you look at all the capabilities, the resolution, the enhancements to video and stills capabilities, that flippy tilt screen, I think that's a new term, the flippy tilt screen. The Sony a7R5 is a great bargain. I think at $38.98, it's a good deal. I really do. And yes, I'm a Canon shooter. I bought the Canon EOS R5. I've been shooting with it for 2 years. Well, actually 2.5 years now. And I've shot over 600 videos for this channel on the Canon EOS R5. I think it's a great camera, but in many ways, I think the Sony a7R5 is better. So if you were considering getting the Canon EOS R5, or maybe even the rumored and anticipated Nikon Z8, you really want to take a close look at the Sony a7R5. I'm truly enamored by this camera. This is so much better than I was expecting based on the rumored specifications. Sony isn't just giving a camera filled with a whole bunch of specs, hoping we'll buy it. What they've done is they've looked at what we as photographers and videographers want and given us the ideal camera for us, with a few minor exceptions. That high resolution, that detail, that sharpness, the ability to correct at a pixel level the autofocus to make sure that it's absolutely very sharp, to deliver 6.2K oversampled 4K, oversampled 8K. But what do you think? Are you impressed with the Sony a7R5? Are you willing to give Sony your money? Are you a Sony a7R4 owner? Let me know what camera you have, what your plans were upgrading, and what you think after watching this presentation and this video. I am very impressed with the Sony a7R5, and if you are considering the Canon EOS R5 and have decided to go with the Sony a7R5, notice how they both have R5, similar price, similar name. You know what Sony's trying to say? They're saying that, look, they know what customers really want. They know what people want for both a video and stills hybrid camera, and that's the a7R5 for $38.98. But that's it for now. If you want to stay up to date on the latest camera news and rumors, please click subscribe, followed by choosing all notifications. By choosing all notifications, it's a big benefit to you. So as soon as I publish a new video like this one here, you'll get notified so that way you can stay up to date on the latest camera news and rumors. No more following all those Twitter feeds, RSS feeds, your favorite websites and YouTube channels, because when you're in a rush, you don't have time for that. I'm not saying don't watch all your favorite camera channels, websites and Twitter feeds and all that stuff, but when it comes to a rush, I cover all the major camera news and rumors. So go ahead and subscribe and choose all notifications. But that's it for now. Thank you so much for watching. Oh, one last thing. I do have another video that's going to be coming out later than this. I did produce a video on the Nikon Z9, the firmware update, early this morning while it was still dark outside. But everything was about the Sony a7R5. So while that video was shot first, it's going to come out later. I just don't know if I'm going to put it out later tonight or if it's going to come out in the morning. It really depends if I can get this video out on my lunchtime or break time. I don't know. It's been a super crazy week with all sorts of updates on the Sony a7R5. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you again soon.